up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we're in the brand new 2026 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, courtesy of Jack G on Volvo Hyundai in York, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So we're in this one today because this, quite honestly, is a really nice option if you have a long commute to work every single day. You also get America's best warranty, being 5 years, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper, 10 years, 100,000 miles on the powertrain, and believe it or not, there's a massive price drop for the 2026 Sonata Hybrid as well. That's not just clickbait, but anyways, if you were curious, this one does compete with the Accord Hybrid and the Camry, since Camry is now full hybrid, and that is the only setup you can get with it. But ultimately, this video we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so, as you can imagine, there are a few different trim levels now for the 2026 Sonata Hybrid. First one being blue, which is a new trim level for the Sonata Hybrid. That one starts at $29,050, which means the 2026 Sonata Hybrid is $2,100 less than the 2025 model year. So that really is a massive price drop. So that's pretty cool. SEL trim level starting at $32,300, and lastly, the Limited, being the one we were in today, of course, starting at $38,100. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on this thing is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2-liter Atkinson cycle inline 4-cylinder with an electric motor, putting out 192 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 151 pound-feet of torque. That power being sent to the front wheels through a 6-speed automatic. I like that. 0 to 60 time approximately 8.1 seconds. With MPG numbers, get ready. Now, this blue trim level is going to be the best MPGs, just so you know. 47 in the city, 56 on the highway. That's pretty insane. 44 in the city, 51 then on the highway for the SEL and the Limited. Either way, taking regular unleaded fuel, the 87 octane, and the max range comes in at 686 miles. That is absolutely insane. But anyways, before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Sonata Hybrid, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. And so drive modes are going to include Eco, Sport, and My Drive, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, and the steering sensitivity. So now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the acceleration here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get our new 2026 Sonata Hybrid here up to speed. All right, we have it in sport driving mode. Bit of a rolling start here. Go. It's actually not bad. Yeah, I don't actually mind that. That is a decent acceleration. And did you guys notice? It was remarkably quiet, like super quiet. I'll get more into that in a second, but that's honestly the first thing I noticed. I was like, dang, this thing is like an EV quiet. But yeah, that's actually plenty to merge you onto the highway. There wasn't any slipping there either, because it is all power sent to the front wheels. Although, Hyundai, if you're watching this, an all-wheel drive hybrid, I don't know, it'd be pretty cool. Camry offers it. I'm just saying, would be a nice option. But yeah, that's plenty of an acceleration. The other thing I wanted to mention just real briefly here is there are paddle shifters, something that you really don't need in a hybrid of any sort. So I would just not even worry about them. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So power assisted 4-wheel ventilated disc brakes do come standard. Of course, you got regenerative braking as well, since this is a hybrid after all. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, it comes in at 117 feet. That is plenty respectable. As far as braking feel goes, it's okay. It's weird. It's weird. Like, it's okay, but it's out of the normal. Like, it didn't feel like 117 feet. It felt unnatural. I'll put it that way. It's something that I would probably have to get used to, and I'm sure I would get used to it, but it just doesn't feel like what I'm used to. I'll just put it that way. It's fine. The 117-foot number, quite honestly, that's a sports sedan number, so it's quite good. But yeah, just kind of weird. But anyways, then touching on suspension and handling. Up front, you gotta get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension. Overall, as far as ride quality goes, it's actually been plenty fun. I'm gonna show a little test drive here today, so absolutely no issues with that. As far as steering feel goes, now it does adjust pretty substantially dependent upon the drive mode that you put it in. So that sport driving mode is gonna give you the best steering feel. It's a heavier weight to it, nothing too crazy, but it does give you a nicer weight to the steering, as opposed to if you are in eco driving mode like I am right now. Super loosey-goosey steering feel. Not a huge fan of the eco driving mode, but I'm trying to go for MPGs now. But anyways, yeah, it's something for everybody. I'll just put it that way. And then touching on cabin noise, and this is where the Sonata Hybrid absolutely crushes it, and here's why. So acoustic laminated front windshield does come standard. However, if you were to go with the SEL or limited trim levels, you also get acoustic laminated front door glass, and that's something that's even an option on vehicles like Mercedes-Benz and BMW. So the fact that you get that on those two trim levels is pretty darn nice. I'll be quiet here for a second. It's a pretty darn serene cabin. I absolutely love it. Like EV quality right there. Like that's pretty darn brilliant. But then touching our rear visibility, looking out my rear view mirror, because of the shape of the Sonata Hybrid, you're definitely not going to have any issues whatsoever when it comes to rear visibility. Touching on forward visibility a little bit, a lot going on here. Rain sensing windshield wipers for one does come standard. So windshield wipers turn on automatically for you whenever it detects rainfall or mist or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Other thing is I have my right turn signal on right now. Right now I am looking at a blind spot view monitor in my gauge cluster here, and that is pretty cool as well. So you don't go turning into anybody, and it's a feature that I don't think anybody else does but Hyundai products and Genesis and Kia and companies like that. So I don't see the Camry and Accord doing that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember that. So I think that's pretty cool. And the other thing is I'm looking at a head-up display right now. It's projecting the speed limit, my speed, and safety features up onto my windshield, and that is super bright as well, and I can see it perfectly fine even with these James Oro sunglasses on. And by the way, if you guys are interested in picking up some James Oro sunglasses, it does support the channel. I'll put a link on the screen and also in the description box below. But I love this head-up display, so that's pretty stinking cool. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior now of our brand new 2026 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, finished in transmission blue. It's a pretty cool color, actually. I don't mind it, but anyways, let's go ahead and start with where the Sonata Hybrid is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the letter K, indicating that this one is built and assembled in Korea, as it should be. I love that. But starting up front, you will find a black mesh front grille coming standard. To the sides, LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. Get the automatic feature with those. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night, and this is the vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams, and when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. Also wanted to mention, we do have an LED light bar found on the top portion. It goes all the way across just underneath the Hyundai logo. That certainly looks good as well. So that means the headlights are located down here, and they're kind of like these dual beam headlights. They're pretty darn good looking if you ask me. You got a little front air curtain to the bottom corner there as well, have like direct air around the wheel and tire combination for a little better aerodynamics. But let me take a step back here real quick. Let me know what you guys think of the front end of this one. I've always liked the look of the Sonata. I still think it looks good, but let me know what you think in the comments. That pretty much rounds out the front end. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, let me know if I'm losing it here or not. But last year I could have sworn there was chrome beltline molding, and this year the chrome surrounds all of the windows. It's not just like a partial thing. It is a full chrome window surround. So I think it looks so much better this way. I could have sworn they had just the beltline molding last year, so this is a big deal to me. Anyways, body colors / satin chrome door handles. It's like a little two-tone color combo there. Get some accents found on the front fenders, but they are with integrated turn signals for the limited trim level only. I think that's so stinking cool. It's a JDM thing from back in the day, although we have a KDM car today. But anyways, you guys get it. You got gloss black side skirts there, body colored power adjustable side mirrors. They are heated then as well. Then taking a look down at the wheel setup, it is going to differ slightly depending upon the trim that you go with. So for the blue trim level, that new trim level, that gets 16-inch alloys. However, with the SEL and the Limited, you do get 17-inch Eco Spoke alloys, which is what, of course, you guys are currently looking at right now. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so but now since we are around to the back of the Sonata Hybrid, starting all the way to the top, you do have a gloss black shark fin antenna. You kind of have a gloss black integrated rear spoiler as well. I'm gonna get up a little bit closer so you guys can see the difference there, but it definitely separates itself out to make it appear as if it's a built-in rear spoiler. So I kind of like the look of that. You do have LED taillights, of course, you guys can tell that. LED license plate lighting as well. I don't want to forget that because that is pretty cool. And then just below it all, this is a hybrid, so it's not going to be as cool when it comes to the exhaust, but it is a single exhaust outlet tucked away underneath. So having said that, we'll give this a shot. As always, here is that exhaust clip. zooming out as we are around to the back of the Sonata Hybrid. When it comes to opening that rear trunk, it is a hands-free smart trunk release for all trim levels across the board. That is one of the most convenient things ever. So if you walk up to your Sonata, it's locked up, you have your key in your pocket, it's going to automatically detect the key. It's going to beep 3 times and then automatically open up the trunk if your hands are full. It's so nice. I loved that. But anyways, power trunk for the limited trim level then, which is also very nice. There is a button on the key fob, button on the rear trunk there as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 15.6 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, of course, there is a 60-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down for quite a bit of extra space then if you needed it. There is some cargo lighting back there, and then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you will find in-floor storage, and it's actually a substantial bit of it as well. But then make your way up to the rear legroom. That comes in at 34.8 inches for reference. I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the rear seats there. USB charging ports do come standard. I liked that. Rear center armrest with cup holders also coming standard. If you wanted rear ventilation though, you do have to go with the SEL or limited trim level, so you're not going to get it on the blue. And then rear window sunshades, believe it or not, come standard on the limited. I know for a fact you do not get that on the competition, so that is pretty cool. It keeps the sun out of your kids' eyes if they're in the back when you pick up like fast food and you're sitting in a parking lot or something like that. But then make your way up to the front seats. Cloth seating for the blue and the SEL, leather seating for the limited, 8-way power driver's seat for the SEL and limited trim levels, heated front seats for the SEL and limited, and then ventilated front seats for the limited trim level only. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, it was okay. Not the very most comfortable seats out there, but it's not bad either. It's certainly doable, so I didn't have any issues. But let's go ahead now and take a look at the steering wheel. It's an interestingly shaped steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It is leather wrapped for the SEL and limited trim levels. It's also going to be heated for the limited trim level only. And then if you're looking at these 4 dots and wondering where the Hyundai logo is, those 4 dots are actually Morse code for the letter H. Therefore, that has been Hyundai's thing lately with their the Ioniq brand and also Hyundai's in general as well. So anyways, let's go ahead and now make our way to the startup. This is one of the coolest parts. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. You got lock, unlock, that whole button, that's going to be your remote start. But also for the limited trim level, you got Smart Pack. And Smart Pack is super stinking cool. So if the car is locked, you press the remote start button, that turns it on, and then the Smart Park buttons are on the side of the key there. That allows you to pull the vehicle kind of out of a parking spot if there's 2 cars that are a little bit too close and you don't want your kids slamming the car door into the vehicle next to you. That's super convenient. You'd be surprised how many times you would use that, but I just absolutely love that feature. And it's kind of like a remote control car if you just wanted to play around like I'm doing on the screen here for you guys as well. But anyways, it is all keyless entry with the push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that silver engine start button, kind of located just to the left of those center air vents there. And so once started up, when it comes to the gauge cluster, there's 2 different gauge clusters. You're going to get analog gauges with a 4.2-inch screen for the blue and SEL trim levels. And then there's a full 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster for the limited, and that's what you guys are looking at, of course, but it's not too bad. I don't mind it. You got your speedometer all the way to the left there. You got your battery charge information all the way to the right. And of course, there's steering wheel mounted controls. You can adjust what you want to display in the center portion. There's a compass up there. There's speed limit recognition, outside temperature, pretty much everything you could possibly want in a digital gauge cluster. Overall, when it comes to interior quality now, there is a panoramic sunroof for the SEL and limited trim levels. Now, last year, this only applied to the limited trim level. You could not get a panoramic sunroof on the SEL, but it is now newly standard for the SEL. So another little change there. LED interior lighting for the limited. There is 64 colors of ambient lighting for the limited trim level as well. Having said that, I see that we have it here. I can see it, but it's not the brightest ambient lighting. Hyundai, if you're watching this again, look at Mercedes-Benz or BMW and what they do with ambient lighting and try to do that with this. It's so bright, it's so thick, like it's the best ambient lighting in the business, and I think Hyundai could easily pull that off, quite honestly, but it looks okay. I like the ambient lighting is included. It's just not the best out there, but auto dimming rear view mirror for the limited trim level, dual zone climate control for all trim levels across the board. I like that. Wireless phone charger for the SEL and limited trim levels, and that's located kind of just underneath the climate control information here. Just behind that, you have a little space where you can actually place your cell phone if you wanted to put it there. You got cup holders just behind that, and then within the center armrest, it's actually a decent amount of space in there, so I do not mind that at all. Overall, as far as the interior quality goes, I think the first thing that caught my attention when I first got in this one is this cool kind of beachy kind of look just above the passenger side glove box and the air vents here in the front. That looks so dang cool. It almost looks like this whole interior is kind of beachy to me, like the light colored leather and this little trim detail up here. So I was actually a big fan of the interior quality. I really don't mind it. Like, they did a pretty darn good job. Now, it is a matte black plastic surrounding the cup holders. That is one thing I would probably change, but make that like a gloss black, or use this nice beachy trim and put that around the cup holders perhaps, but it's okay. But having said that, it's still pretty darn good. I don't mind it. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen, because across the board for all trim levels, you get a 12.3-inch touchscreen display, Bluetooth and audio streaming with that, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You get a factory navigation system. If you go with the limited trim level, that's how you're going to go ahead and get that. But a lot of cool stuff up there too. There's weather information, there's sports information, there's a voice memo system where you can record your voice and play it back at a later date. There's your hybrid statistics if you wanted to check that out up there as well. Of course, your ambient lighting settings can be adjusted up there too. You can actually adjust the gauge cluster. I just completely missed that. It's not that much of an adjustment, but you do get a simple cluster or a classic setup. I'm just going to go ahead and link it to the drive mode. I think that would be simpler, but I do like that there's a little bit of an adjustment there. But also, of course, you can check out your radio information up there. So when it comes to the sound systems, you get 2 of them. 6 speakers are going to come with the Blue and the SEL, and then a 12-speaker Bose sound system for the Limited. So having said that, let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the clarity of this one. It's pretty good. I don't mind that sound system. Like, the Bose sound system crushes it in this car. And Bose has been around for forever, so I think we all knew that was going to happen, but it's a really good sound system for the Sonata Hybrid without a doubt. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen at least is, when you do put this thing in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. Also got that surround view monitor there to the right as well for the limited trim level only, and of course it's going to make a cool little sound when you put it in reverse so people know you're in reverse. But that, as always, is going to lead us into safety. And so to start with the best part, the Sonata Hybrid is an IIHS top safety pick, so you gotta love that. Front side curtain airbags do come standard. You get a driver's knee airbag up front as well. In the back, you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard. Forward collision avoidance assist, lane keep assist, lane following assist, driver attention warning system, adaptive cruise control with stop and go, rear occupant alert, and a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Sonata Hybrid, excellent MPGs, especially with that new blue trim level for 2026. Like, that's absolutely insane. So like I was saying at the beginning of the video, if you got a long commute to work, this thing may very well save you a good bit of money. So I'm just saying, more affordable for 2026 as well, $2,100 less. You can't argue with that. You get America's Best warranty, so if you actually drive less than 10,000 miles per year, you get this thing warranty for 10 years on the powertrain. So that's pretty cool as well. Rear window sunshades. It's one of those features that, I don't know, some people might not care about, but it's one of those features though that aren't available on the competition. So for that reason, I think it's pretty cool. As far as room for improvement goes, the braking feel is a bit different. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just one of those things you might have to get used to, but I probably don't mind it. It's just, again, it's different. But that's quite honestly all I got for this one. This is a pretty darn nice car. Probably one I would even consider getting. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of the Sonata Hybrid in the comments section below. That's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media stuff at the bottom of the screen if you want to see what's coming next on the channel before it gets to YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what I've been doing here for 11 years now. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.